I ain't tryna bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. One thing I taught myself to do, no matter the problem, refuse to lose. So, how you want it, man? You can choose. If you can't take the heat, don't light the fuse. See, I walk in slow and ignite the room. Like fire, everything I touch, I consume. I'm getting up while y'all just snooze. While you make breakfast, man, I'm on the move. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. In me I trust, yeah, I smell like success. This Elon Musk, huh? Everybody wanna be like us. We don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough, huh? I ain't never gay, no, I ain't scared, man. You know black men don't blush, huh? Came here ready to fight on this night. You better just run for your life. Won't you come and see what it's like, living by the rules that you write. You ain't know those lavish delights, now you had no back in sight. All the little lies you recite, just makes all the savage unite. Usually I'm very polite, but I'ma get savage tonight. Even when a dog being nice, every single dog gonna bite. You might think I'm wrong, but I'm right. Just let it get a strong appetite. I'ma let it breathe just a little, give it to you strong, heavy metal. I don't make a sound when I strike. You better just run for your life. Run for your life.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the War Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined by a killer cast here in the studio by none other than Connor Boyack, author of the Tuttle Twins, head of the Libertas Institute, author of Mind Wars, True Conspiracies, a prolific author who is gracing us with his presence in the studio today, all protected by none other than Ed Thomas, bodyguard in chief of the studio here, making sure that, we're safe from all those who would do us harm. And we are graced by the presence of none other than the lovely Brittany the Shadow. Oh, whoa, that's a different camera. Hey, there's that camera too. Wow, you got two cameras.
Where are my cameras at?
Ed, did you move Ed moved the cameras around. He took my center camera and stuck it on you. You're just so beautiful, you deserve two cameras.
It's because Ed likes me more.
All right, excellent. So anyway, we're also joined via the Zoom by none other than the original Cougar Chronicle gangster himself, Luke Hansen here. Yeah, what's up, my man? To talk about something crazy went down today, all right? I'm a huge fan of TimCast IRL. In fact, I've corresponded with Tim Pool on multiple occasions back when we were all nobodies. The IDW was a thing and the internet was still a baby and individual online journalism was in its infancy. We had corresponded about him coming onto a radio program that I was helming at the time, and it never came to fruition. That's the year I interviewed Dave Rubin and some others. But I love TimCast. I love Tim Pool back when he used to broadcast under the name Tim Pool. But man, yesterday's conversation on Mormonism at large, though done by some participants on his show who are fascinated by it, was wow. It was woefully misinformed. So
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. So we're gonna be correcting the record here kindly though, because I at least love Tim Pool. We're not putting him on blast. He's not an anti-Mormon. He's a guy that was listening to some friends who were mistaken, so we're correcting the record. So while we're waiting for everybody to come into the chat, please make sure that you like the chat as you guys come on in, and tell your friends, share, hang out with us. This is going to be a fun and informal stream. And as always, Brittany is the keepress of the chats. And if you give us a chat and it's appropriate and germane to the conversation, we will do our best to read it live on the stream. So make sure if you have any questions or comments that you send them our way. As we're waiting for everybody coming to the chat really fast, Connor, you're our invited guest, my friend. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hold on, Cardin.
Yeah.
They're saying the audio and video is not lining up.
The audio and video is not lining up. Well, who's the they? How many people are saying this?
Nagrit, Silicon Stud.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me see. It might just be the stream
And
lagging.
Onondagas. I think that's Don Bradley.
The audio is not matched with the video. Well, gosh, dag nabbit. You know what I'm saying?
Is there anybody who it's working for?
Yeah, is there anybody
Maybe
it's
that's
working
the question
for?
to ask.
See, we got to know, is this an us problem or is this a you problem? Because every once in a while, it's not an us problem, it's a you problem. So anyway, really fast, while I work on that, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Connor, who you are, what your organization is, why you're so cool and relevant, and so on and so forth. And then we'll jump into this whole TimCast IRL controversy, man.
Well, we got someone in the chat saying, who's Connor Boyack? Who is this guy? So we'll answer the question. So I live in Utah, homeschool dad of 2 kids. I run an organization called Libertas Institute. We are what's called a think tank. So we change laws in Utah and across the country. I've written 44 books, most known for the Tuttle Twins books, which teach the ideas of a free society to children. They've sold millions of copies. We've got a cartoon with Angel Studios with 2 seasons of our Tuttle Twins cartoon there. So I'm a freedom guy. I'm a big believer in agency. I love talking about our doctrine and how I think it supports the view of liberty. Like Joseph talking about teaching people correct principles and letting them govern themselves. So that's kind of my ethos, my modus operandi, and what I'm all about.
All right. Awesome. I like it. Also, I'm curious if the sound just got better. There was a 500 millisecond lag on my audio switcher this time around. So that has now since been remedied. And, hopefully it's not so problematic. If not, just pretend you're watching Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? Those original foreign dubbed films from the 60s and 70s. And we'll just call it a cultural experience and do better next time, right? So anyway, Luke, what were your thoughts when you saw this, my man? You're the clip master. And
I thought Godzilla was great.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone should see it.
That's funny.
They said it's back now, so that's good.
Okay.
No more Godzilla.
All right. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So give us a background as to, because, Tim Pool, he's a pretty big mover and shaker in political commentary. Tell us what went on, man.
Yeah, so honestly, I just dabble in Tim Pool. I don't hop on there too often, but I'll watch from time to time. But there was a rather odd exchange between multiple people. There's like 5 people in this conversation on this Tim Pool show. We've got, of course, Tim Pool, and then Ian, I don't know his last name, but sort of
Crossland, I think. I think it's Ian Crossland.
Yeah.
Ian Crossland, sure. Kind of his buddy on a lot of these things. And it starts off, they're talking about, I showed the intro, so you can kind of see the conversation that led into it. But all of a sudden it goes on this random tangent about Mormons, and everybody in this conversation, these ostensibly informed about the country people, seem to have no idea about anything about our faith. Okay. And then after 3 minutes, then they move on to what they were talking about before. So I've cut that moment out. And we're just going to watch it and see what went down.
Okay, let's just see what happened without burying the lead. Without any further ado, we are just going to jump right in. This is TimCast IRL, go.
But I do think that marriage is a stabilizing force and that it would be good as a country if we valued people creating family units, small portions of community to rely on each other and build stronger and better citizens.
Okay, this is sounding great so far.
Applause.
No problems so far. I'm loving everything I got to say. It's downhill from here, right? Or I don't know. We're going to find out. Let's see.
Well, of course, marriage was a artifact of the patriarchy, and once
I
the marriage,
love the patriarchy.
Once the
It's
marriage
great.
is complete, the women are totally subjugated by the man and must vote as he demands. And so the man wants her to vote Republican, she does.
As God intended,
Yeah.
Sounds like Mormonism. I was learning a little bit about how females are property in Mormonism. I don't know.
Mormonism is fascinating.
That's still true?
I don't know.
Well,
Okay, now by the way, I gotta tell you, Tim Pool is savvy. He's smart. He's like, I ain't committing to this bit yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not committing to this one. But let's listen. This is pretty crazy. It was just like, oh, sounds like Mormonism. And then it just goes downhill from here. I'm going to rewind just for a second because that was actually just really funny. Tim Pool, TimCast IRL, go.
Yeah.
Sounds like Mormonism. I was learning a little bit about how females are property in Mormonism. I don't know.
Mormonism is fascinating.
That's still true?
I don't know.
Well, one of the things that I
It's one
find
of the tenets of the
interesting is
religion.
Mormonism, the modern Mormonist church gave up, they dispelled the practice of polygamy when they wanted to become a state. And the rest of the country was like, we're not going to fly with that. And they're like, okay, we don't believe in this anymore. But it's not true in the afterlife. In the afterlife, or in their version of like heaven and everything, men can still have multiple wives, even in the traditional church. It's one of the things I wanted to ask the Angel Studio guys about because they're Mormon, and I always find because they're LDS. I apologize. I'm throwing out slurs over here.
Cancel her.
It's the
Cancel
same
her.
thing, but they just.
Okay, what'd you say, Connor? What'd you say?
She has to be canceled now. She used the M word. She's like, oh, sorry.
Never mind that you literally just said women are property. You're worried.
I was going to say, as if the Mormon word is the most offensive thing she just said.
Okay, so no, we're giving her the benefit of the doubt, though, because at the end of the day, the American media machine does all kinds of predatory misrepresentations of our faith, everything from Under the Banner of Heaven, where all the progmos and the exmo anti-Mormons got to put in their little slice of heaven that they wished were the truth of our history.
But what part of the media machine is talking about how women are property? He's about to get into the worst part.
It gets better. It gets better.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, it gets better. So let's see. As if this weren't bad enough.
Cardin, I gotta say first, it's hilarious that he says, I was just learning about this, as if like somehow that establishes that it's true. It's like, Cardin, I just learned that you were beating your wife the other day. Like what? It's just preposterous that he says that, especially in the context of this ludicrous so-called belief of the church.
Yeah, and she showed up for the live stream too. So I didn't do a good enough job. I should have whipped out my $50 bill, which they're going to propose here in a second, as my abusive indulgence, which I've, sometimes when I hear these kind of anti-Mormon tropes or these mistakes that we'll call it in this case, oftentimes there's a small piece that is like rooted in some kind of truth. Okay, so like polygamy was a sanctioned thing in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for a while. But 90% of this tree, that has been built upon that trunk, all right, is just completely false and not based in reality. She's going to come up with some things that I have never heard in my life, like ever. And here they come right now.
Don't like
Latter-day Saints. It's a bridge of the Mormon Church. Is that what it is? A branch?
Well, there's like the fundamentalist LDS Church, but like if you are, we're gonna have our Utah resident weigh in here.
Yeah, no, they just you say LDS amongst themselves. They don't like Mormon wouldn't be what they'd call themselves, but that's what we call them.
But there are Mormons and then there are LDS.
No. It's just the LDS to them, and then everyone else us to them calls Mormons. It's a pretty quick tell.
So
and then
same
like
thing,
Warren Jeffs is like
Saints.
a fundamentalist.
Right, that's
LDS.
a fundamentalist. Yeah,
That's a cult.
My friend was telling me he was reading off the tenets of like the original Mormon tenets and it just sounds like this sex cult. Like it's just Joseph. Is it Joseph Smith? Is that the guy's name that started it? And then it's all about like how women are property. If you rape a woman, she's your property. Crazy stuff.
Really?
Yeah, disturbing.
The only thing I know about Mormonism is from South Park, so.
I've heard that's actually a good description. I am not Mormon, so it's hard for me to judge.
I kind of don't believe it is a good description because of how absurd it is, but I guess you never know.
Hey, he kind of sounds,
You never know.
Hey, so actually, it's unfinished. It's almost done. Here we go.
It was like I'm trying to recall. It was if you were to rape a woman that you have to pay her father $50 and marry her or something like that. That was the.
Oh, okay. Well, that's totally different.
Yeah.
You ruined her value, so let's.
It's crazy. Dad, $50.
It sounded like it was like incentivizing men to go prey on women. It was crazy religion.
Bro, with inflation, what was that? Like 1800s?
Yeah.
$50, that's a lot of money,
That's
dude.
like a fair amount now.
Why did we start talking about Mormonism? I really twisted
We're talking about the value of marriage and the effect it has on a culture.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so as you can see, that went really, really south.
Why are we still talking about? They weren't talking about Mormonism
really,
at all.
really fast. All right. What on earth? I've never heard a $50 rule even remotely tied to anything.
Was he saying that's a Mormonism or the 1800s? What was he saying?
The original tenets of Mormonism, like somehow the Articles of Faith that Joseph wrote talked about this or something.
I mean, faith, hope, charity, repentance. I don't know, Luke, shine a light on this. What's going on, man?
Okay, so
you know these wild online right wingers. You're one of them. What's?
I hopped on DuckDuckGo. I turned on my VPN and I started to look for this stuff to see if I could find it. You know. Don't want those search terms staying on my record, but I was not able to find anything. Best I can do is he watched some sort of Warren Jeffs documentary or something about Warren Jeffs and transposed that over into Joseph Smith. Now, of course, Warren Jeffs was like the early 2000s fundamentalist LDS, accused and convicted on a couple of sexual charges. Lots of wives, trading wives, all that kind of stuff, kicking husbands out and taking the wives. So that must have been it. And somehow he got it confused with the guy from the 1830s that wrote a book about Jesus.
I'm getting so tired of having to debunk, weird stories that people have of Warren Jeffs, who is an individual who is in prison right now, And these people that recycle these lies know that this obscure sect that is not recognized, I think in like 3 or 4 of the states that it supposedly practices in. I don't want to spread disinformation, so I'm not going to say what the exact sanctioning body is of each individual state and whatnot. But I know that like he's in prison for actual crimes right now, and at best represents an extremely, extremely small, I don't even want to say fundamentalist, I would say very 100-year-old interpretation of the extension of the church that practiced polygamy throughout the Western United States of America. And when people say Mormons, that's not what they're thinking of. That's not their friends and their neighbors. That's not the 16 million person real church that everybody's thinking about. And I don't want to say real as a pejorative. I know there's people that have sincerely held religious beliefs in these groups, and so I don't want to step on their toes too much. I'm trying to meander through this minefield. But at the end of the day, I think it is fair to say when you talk about Mormons, especially in a North American political talk show, we're not talking about that sect in Missouri that still has 12 members. We're not talking about the Strangites and the 2,000 of them that still exist up in Michigan. We're not even talking about unless you're maybe at a Pittsburgh TV station, talking about the 250,000 RLDS Community of Christ church members that survive. We're talking about the Church of Jesus Christ, a Latter-day Saints, and the 16 million people that represent it worldwide. And it has nothing to do in the modern day with any of this polygamous nonsense. And we definitely never had a $50 bounty. All right. On where could this have come from? You found nothing, Luke?
No. However, the chat, we seem to be getting corroboration in the chat that today he corrected himself. These are claims that he corrected himself, and it was
$45.
There was a discount.
There was a coupon.
Ian used the Talmud, which is ancient Jewish scripture.
So they got away with recycling an anti-Semitic trope.
That's exactly right.
In the name of Mormonism, and it's okay now. Okay, Luke,
yes.
Keep going. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I'm just going back to, did you guys catch when she said Mormonist?
Yeah.
Like the Mormonist church? I've never heard that phrase before. Mormonist.
I might start using it.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, dude.
It's like the academic phrase or something.
So I have a problem here is that sure, apparently he issued a correction later, right? But the problem is
Can you put that in the Discord, by the way, Luke? I want to see this.
I've already seen a ton of people
I'm
sharing.
asking people, if anybody is on the Discord, go to suggested topics, tag me with the timestamp, like with the link where you select start at this time, slap it in there.
We'll
we
throw
can slap
it in.
it over here.
We'll
and play
throw it in. Yeah, keep going, Connor.
So this is like when you have a news article that has some like fabrication in it that's totally wildly inaccurate, and then that's what gets the virality, that's what gets the attention, and then the next day they issue the correction and say, "Oh, turns out we were wrong," or "Oh," but by then the damage is done. Everyone's already heard the story, so it's good that he's correcting himself if in fact that's true. But to me, it's also like, don't talk about things that you don't know are true. Oh, I've been learning about this. And then he changed it later, if you noticed. It went from I'm learning about this to my friend told me. Right? It's like, okay, and you're now proclaiming that to the entire internet to say this is what the Mormonist religion or whatever that means believes. Like, it's nonsense.
And it amazes me to this day what you can say about members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that you would never think about saying about Jews.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they literally, apparently, if what the chat says is true, they quoted the Talmud. Is that what they're claiming?
Someone else said the Quran, yeah.
Okay, either way, whether it's Jews or Muslims, could you ever envision yourself mocking the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith and then quoting a supposed reference to an ancient text that may or may not suggest $50 gets you out of that kind of assault you should never do? You know, like, the fact that you don't bristle, you can't be in polite society and say, oh yeah, my Jewish friend, without instantaneously everybody's, hair standing up on the back of their neck and then waiting for you to see what you're about to say to make sure that they can breathe easy and then not have to correct the record or so on and so forth, so they don't perceived as being in the same room with somebody that said something once wrong about a religious group, unless it's Mormons.
So does that mean we're just doing better at loving our enemies and we forgive and we're kind of pacifist?
Or we're not fighting hard enough.
Well, and
what's interesting about, sorry, was that
you go, Luke, you go.
What's interesting about people being informed and what we're standing up for and promoting, it's interesting that she doesn't correct him on the articles of faith that allow you to do such and such for $50, but she does catch the Mormon thing. So apparently that has stuck enough for people to catch it.
Probably because they're...
But not the other one, except then they asked their Utah friend, like the bro sitting in the corner, and he says, yeah, they want to be called LDS, which is like, I'm pretty sure Nelson said the same thing in his talk. It's like just as quote unquote bad as calling us Mormons. So it was like a success, but a failure. They said Latter-day Saints at one point, but it still wasn't Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
But that's the extent to which
we got the wrong victory, I think, in my opinion.
That's the extent to which people know us. It's the superficial stuff. Are they Mormon? Is it Joseph Smith? Did they call themselves Latter-day Saints? To me, this just shows that we are doing a piss poor job at making our doctrine something that people understand, making it popular, helping people understand what we believe. If otherwise intelligent, well-informed people like this know not only nothing but like falsehoods and just ridiculous stuff that they're perpetuating, to me it's an indictment of our ability to actually evangelize the gospel and get the doctrine out there.
Right. Yeah. There's a bit of a problem with using the term Mormonist as well, because the difference between Mormon and Mormonist is the difference between Islam and Islamist. Islam is a fairly well-respected religion. Here in L.A., Cardin, Brittany, and I have had some very good experiences with Muslims. Islamists, on the other hand, are the bad guys. There's just like there's a difference between Christian and Christianist, and then also Christianity and Christianism, and so on and so forth. Yes, we understand there's these linguistic lines that will differentiate between somebody who is trying to actively practice something and somebody who's also trying to enforce it unethically upon others. I think we need to bring back the pejorative. I think we need to bring back the pejorative Mormonites. No. The first pejorative against Joseph Smith and everybody that got baptized in his faith was they called him Mormonites.
No, I like Mormonist. It sounds more mystical.
Oh boy.
So you like Mormonist? I
like Mormonist. Okay, also, can I get on the super chats?
Yeah, catch us up on the super chats. Keepers of the chats.
Okay, Rock Family says, first, love the show. Second, Cardin, been wanting to tell you that you look like you could be Jack Black's taller, handsomer brother. Keep doing amazing work, all of you.
That's a very soft way of saying you look like a fat actor, but I'm going to euphemize it here. And thank you very much.
Cardin gets Jack Black all the time. Like, our daughter's favorite movie is School of Rock.
Nice.
And she likes watching it because she thinks it's her dad in the movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
This has been the evolution. When I was young and I was skinny, about 60 pounds ago, okay, I was often mistaken, especially my hair will get sun bleached during the summers. So, and one summer I actually did it. It was the early 2000s. The frosted tip things with all I could pull off in the darms.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing. You did it too. Yeah.
I never did it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to hear, Ed. That's good to hear.
I had bleached blonde hair with black underneath.
Oh, you did the Christina Aguilera dirty thing.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I tried frosted tips once, all right, the whole entire rest of the summer, I got called Vanilla Ice, because I look like Vanilla Ice. That was the super skinny days. Then as I started lifting a little bit more weights and I got taller, I got punked Ashton Kutcher for quite some time, okay? Then as I lifted more weights, I got Ivan Drago. Those were the glory days, okay? The glory days were Ivan Drago.
Is that Rambo 8 or something?
No, that's Rocky 4, I believe it is, when he fights the Russian.
Dude, yeah.
The blonde dude says, "I must break you." You know what I'm saying? Who I found out is Dolph Lundgren, who's Polish, and I'm Polish. So look,
nice.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But then, get the C word, dealing with some, leukemia. You got some fluid retention. You got some medication that makes you nauseous all the time unless you eat. And you start ballooning a little bit.
You got
all
your
right?
wife's good cooking.
You got your wife's good cooking, the whole 9 yards. All right. Hashtag I don't support the patriarchy. Please, I never eat her meals. No, I shove them away and I say, how dare you cook for me? Don't get mad at me, feminists. But anyway, you gain a couple of extra pounds, and then I started getting other actors. At first,
Who are you going to make up?
No.
I hear Brad Pitt at state conference.
No, not Brad Pitt. I started getting there was another one that there was Jim Carrey when I was young. I can't remember who the intermediate one was. Yeah, no, I think it was Ashton Kutcher. But then once I got real big, then people started saying Jack Black. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I'm down because he's funny. But when you go from Ivan Drago to Jack Black, you know what I'm saying? You're kind of like, oh, man. No offense to Jack Black, because actually, to be honest with you, Jack Black makes a lot more money. He's probably a lot more fun to hang out with. Sorry, Dolph.
He'd be a blast to hang out with.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think Jack Black's hot, so it's fine.
I'll take it. I'm in. I'm in.
Okay, I got to get on these super chats.
Yeah, catch up on the super chats.
Hold on. Tilton Reed says Green Shirt Day for anti-Mormonism. Is that a thing?
Anti.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
Is that like the anti-Nephi Lehites, the anti?
Or it's like math, where two negatives make a positive?
Yeah.
Okay, next super chat, babe. Next super
Brandy
chat.
Harkin says Ian corrected himself tonight on TimCast. He also purchased a copy of the DNC as well today.
Bravo. Bravo.
An interesting starter.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
That's not where I would start.
Yeah. He's either going to learn a lot and is very enthusiastically trying to reinform himself, or he's thinking, I got to find the top 5 craziest verses so that my next chance, I can be like, see?
I guess put in the comments what you would recommend he starts with first, which section.
That's true. What would be a good intro? Because we don't want to be people that just complain we're misrepresented. Like, let's go and let's say, hey, this is what we're really about. You bought a copy of the DNC. Connor, Luke, you're our most erudite members right now. You're our most spiritual giants.
Wow.
Connor's basically an apostle by 2029.
I thought you were going to say apostate.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's close.
One of the two. One of the two. What would be a good refresher course? What would be a good introduction to the modern Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints via the Doctrine and Covenants? What verses or chapters would you recommend?
I mean, you probably got to go with 20, DNC 20. It's kind of the Constitution, I think some people have called it, of the church. Runs through what's the purpose of the Book of Mormon and then sort of the general regulations and guidelines for how the church is supposed to be run. But if you want to throw them for a loop, you'd probably do something like DNC 130, maybe DNC 135.
I'm looking.
That one's all about Joseph Smith being martyred. DNC 130 is kind of a Father has flesh and bones, like unto a man. As long as I'm remembering this right.
Okay, so I'm looking up section 20, and this is the one that says the rise.
But just kind of on deck, so people don't get freaked out. I do have the timestamp. It's in the Discord, Cardin. So when we're ready, we can play Ian doing his
Correcting himself.
backtracking correction on today's live stream of TimCast.
Okay, so I'm going to pull this up right now. Give it a second. I'm going to have to press pause real fast. And fortunately, I put the volume down because I'm getting one of those video game commercials, you know, where it shows what looks like a cool video game, but then you buy the video game for 99 cents.
Nothing like it at all.
And it has nothing to do with it. And you're like, who has not nabbed these people for false advertising?
I did one of those
right?
over Christmas. Every year during the Christmas break, I'll download a game and just binge for a week. And I clicked on one of these ads, and it was like nothing like the game at all. I felt gypped. I don't even remember what it was.
You're a closet Christmas gamer?
I am a Christmas gamer. That's the only time that I play games. Yeah.
And it was like a 4-bit or an 8-bit game or something.
Oh yeah, old school. I like the old school.
Okay, that's cool, man.
I've got my section of scripture. You ready? Can I?
Yeah.
Can I
what's your section?
Nominate one.
Yes.
I mean, you could do like 76 or 84. A lot of these like really powerful ones. I would actually pick Doctrine and Covenants section 1. Because the Lord gave this much later, years later. It wasn't the first revelation. It was specifically given as the introductory revelation to what they were compiling in the Book of Commandments. And I think it's important for someone like Ian to start here because it gives context for why this even exists. So, Cardin, scroll to verse 16. This is where I think this is giving context for why the Lord called Joseph Smith. So it says, it's talking about the people at the time and even today. They seek not the Lord to establish his righteousness, but every man walketh in his own way and after the image of his own God, whose image is in the likeness of the world, and whose substance is that of an idol, which waxeth old and shall perish in Babylon, even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. Wherefore, I, the Lord, knowing the calamity which should come upon the inhabitants of the earth, called upon my servant Joseph Smith, gave him commandments, told him to proclaim these things. I spoke to the weak things, that faith might increase, etc. To me, that gives the why, right? Like Simon Sinek, start with why. We always, when we're trying to persuade people, they need to understand why this matters. And so I think DNC 1 is a great place to start because the Lord intended it to be the introductory section to the Doctrine and Covenants.
Dude, bro. You just brought your A game, man. That was pretty awesome. Right. I am doubling down on my Apostle 2029, and I'm saying Apostle 2027. You almost beat Brad Whitbeck there, and you've got two things on him. I think he's more handsomer than you in kind of like a classic matinee idol kind of way, but you've got the gravitas and the beard.
Okay. I was going to say,
you've got the beard,
I have
bro.
a beard that I am not shaving, and so I think that alone in our culture disqualifies me, which is why I'm keeping it. I don't want any callings like that.
That's funny.
Good idea.
What's the craziest calling you ever had, bro?
Oh, craziest? Well,
by the way, for anybody that's jumping in, calling, what would you describe a calling? It's just your volunteer responsibility in the church, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
My current one is Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, which is the third time I've had this calling, which says something.
They think you're the prepper in the ward?
No, they know I'm the prepper in the ward. So it's like,
Be honest, do you have a bug-out vehicle? Are you so hardcore that you've got a straight-up vehicle design?
I do not have a vehicle. I do have a location, and I have a lot of staged equipment and items. You know,
is it the dream mine?
Yeah,
you're gonna go up there. You got a bunker.
That's where all the gold and silver is. That the angels are.
You found it already, and you're just holding it.
Okay, but have you gone full Glenn Beck, and do you have the small, thin credit card sized pieces of gold so you can trade in gold?
I do have. Yeah, I have some of that. What is it called? Goldbacks. It's a company in Utah. It's really cool technology. They basically laminate a little film with gold molecules, and so it's this flexible gold that so I don't use them. I have a few of those. I'm more of a Bitcoin guy than a yellow rock guy anyways.
Well, true libertarian.
Exactly.
You got to go crypto before you go
decentralize everything.
Dude, look at that, man. So it's your third time.
Time.
I always get pigeonholed in 3 callings, which are just absolutely demonstrative of the attrition of leadership and culture in the North American church.
Which means you're in the nursery?
No.
Okay.
The Boy Scouts. Guys like me used to get pigeoned to Boy Scouts forever, just like, oh, he's energetic and he's masculine. Yeah, well, we need all the betas for leadership, so let's get the alphas in Boy Scouts. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. That was savage. You know what I'm saying?
We laugh because it's true, at least in part.
So anyway, we need the soy boys for the bishopric. Let's put the guys that actually know how to tie knots and get out of and have 4-wheel drive. Let's stick them with the Boy Scouts, right?
Only in Beverly Hills 2nd.
So yeah, exactly. So I was Boy Scouts for a long time, and then I love the Boy Scouts so much though that I also volunteered outside of my church capacity to be in the the district round table and so on and so forth. And so I guess I was a little bit of a glutton for punishment there if I'm volunteering outside of my church calling as well. But then the second thing is, dude, once you play the piano in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints,
you're in like
Flynn. Dude, just forget it. Forget it. You will be a piano player. And the sad thing is, culturally, we are not catching up with that demand. For every 75-year-old organist that dies, they're not getting backfilled by more millennials and Gen Zers that can play the piano or play the organ. We used to always kind of depend upon the general cultural ethos of learning to play the piano, learning to follow sheet music, learning to be able to, quote, play the hymns. And that's really kind of culturally gone by the wayside. And I foresee, just like there was a baby boom and there will be a baby bust in our population, there is a population.
An organ bust?
There's an organist bust where I think our church literally needs to start making it a calling where there's like a stake piano teacher and like there's a perpetual education fund, there's a perpetual organist fund or something, because like Brittany, of all of your friends your age, how many play the piano?
Maybe like 2.
Yeah, wow. 1 or 2. Connor, you play the piano by chance?
I used to.
Okay.
No longer do.
Yeah, how many of your friends do?
Oh, gosh. I have no idea.
Would a congregation of friends your age be able to provide all of the music for the 3 hours of church?
So my wife plays the piano beautifully. In fact,
which one?
Our first
and was
date,
she
the first one?
Was she a $50 acquisition or
45? I had the coupon that Brittany was mentioning.
Okay, cool.
And so on our first date, we met in Vegas. What happened in Vegas did not thankfully stay in Vegas, and so we met. I actually have to sidetrack here. So we met in 2007. Mitt Romney's running for president. All the Mormons are like, "Ooh, a Mormon in the White House.
This is our shot."
Yeah, and a priesthood holder in the Oval Office. And my wife, who is not political, got so fed up with this. She was in Arizona. She started a Facebook group that was called "Just Because I'm Mormon Doesn't Mean I'm Voting for Mitt Romney." And so we had a mutual friend who joined the group. And if you remember Facebook back in 2007, hardly anyone was there, which means that in your news feed, it would show you everything your friends were doing. Right? Brittany liked this page. Carden joined this group. So we had this mutual friend that joined her group. And I'm friends with this guy. So I see that, ha, ha, ha. I laugh. I join. We meet. So I sent Mitt Romney a wedding invitation. He didn't show up. But we meet in Vegas.
His brother's in my ward.
And my wife, now wife, plays the piano, and I'm just smitten. She's just playing so beautifully. So she taught our kids. She taught a bunch of other people.
I'm sure it was the piano song she was playing.
It was the cherry on top.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. So my wife has been pigeonholed like you're talking about in a lot of the wards that we've been in because, someone that can play the piano, you can do all the callings. And so she has taken it upon herself over the years to identify and sniff out other people in the ward who have the talent. And what you consistently find is
they hide it.
There are a lot of people our age. There are a lot of people our age who know how to play the piano, but they are silent. They will seal their lips they're not, they're putting their light under the bushel and not letting it shine, and everyone's keeping it to themselves.
Or maybe the ruling class that I won't name because Ed's here. I won't name. I won't generationally confine them. We'll call them the Sadducees instead. Okay.
How is that better?
Maybe the Pharisaical ruling class is so lazy in their leadership and short-sighted that you will simply be abused as somebody who is called 3 seconds before the meeting starts to be put up there like a sacrificial lamb to butcher the piano version of whatever hymn they thought that you should just know how to play because, you played that piano, right? And you don't want to be subjected to the humiliation of not having been asked the day before to play because some of us, it takes time to get a hymn down. So maybe it is an act of social self-preservation.
Yeah, perhaps.
So my
it's still selfish.
My Gen Wiresy buddy Garrett He was in the ward for 5 years before I even knew he played, and he not only plays, he writes songs, and he's probably good enough to be on the Wrecking Crew. So I don't know why the young people are so socially awkward is not the right word, but not willing to. When they see a deficit of musical talent.
Okay,
in
so
the
we've
ward.
got victim shamer here, Ed Thomas.
I apologize. I apologize. I truly don't want to victim shame because I am master sinner.
But you know what I think it's like? I think it's like people who, I hate this about our culture right now. It's been for the past like 5 or 10 years. Someone gets up to give a talk, and they start the first 30 seconds talking about how much they don't want to give the talk and how they've evaded the bishopric member, but he finally got me, and so I prepared an hour ago, and here I am, right? And this like self-deprecation, people hiding their piano talent, right? Or people not trying to put in the effort to do a good talk, and it's this weird...
No, that's suburbanism, bro. You have to.
It's awful. I hate it.
You're not allowed to brag. You have to be like, I don't know why they asked me. Even though I love this.
Holy smile.
You know, like, it's like, oh, please, dude.
Hey, Cardin,
Yeah.
you got to welcome someone to the Ward Radio worship.
Oh, yes. You know, Connor Boyack has yet to experience this.
I have yet.
Oh, you have yet to experience this. Yes. We have received the records for who?
Canuto de Leon.
Oh, Canuto de Leon. We've received the records for Canuto de Leon into the Ward Radio Wigwam. Everybody that would like to welcome Canuto to the Ward Radio Wigwam, please put a W in the chat. Welcome, Canuto. All right.
Hey, real quick, Cardin.
Yes, hit it.
My friend Brian Bacon says, Cardin, you Philistine, call them what they are, quote, handbook worshipers.
Ooh.
Handbook worshipers.
And that is good. Jacob was talking about the onion chart of church core doctrine, policy, and how it goes out. And that's actually a pretty good term, too.
So I would say handbook worshipers born between 1946 and 1964.
There we go.
Would that work for you? Would that be better?
I don't
would
know.
that be okay? That might be better.
It's never going to work.
It's never going to work? All right.
Okay,
we'll
super
try.
chat, Cardin, ready?
Super chat, hit it.
From Quest, he says, no one takes Ian seriously. His role on TimCast is to make everyone else look smarter. He is constantly berated by guests and watchers or bad opinions.
Ooh. Rough.
All right.
Savage review. Savage
And I
review.
think we have
Sorry,
one
Ian.
more.
But let me interject there, because this isn't just gang up on Ian. It's that no one else knew anything more to contradict him and to refute what he's saying. All they knew is like, oh, it's LDS, it's Latter-day, but no one knew anything substantive to push back and be like, where are you getting that? That's
but
not
there
at all
was like, this is also, again, I'm always a big personal responsibility guy. And how is it that our church is able to do, we could refute these bad social misunderstandings.
Yeah.
And the proof is the fact that 3 times they stumbled over themselves to correct Mormon, LDS, and Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So they knew that was a no-no. But saying you can RAPE a woman for $50, that's not a no-no. You know, so obviously our church PR mechanisms and our suburban niceness culture that we worship allows us to push back on things enough that the population at large will learn them through consistent messaging, which you've had to engage in. As the owner of a freaking think tank, okay, you understand that it's possible to change public perception, but here we are running around to make sure that, of all the things, of all the public perceptions we got to change, don't you dare call us Mormon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That was weak sauce and weak tea, and I think we're the only ones to blame. Where do I go wrong? Do I go wrong? Anybody say I go wrong?
I don't think you do, because everybody there seemed pretty curious about it. I mean, the one girl was like, I was going to ask the Angel Studios people. I don't know why she didn't, but like, it's not for lack of effort on their part. I think it's more lack of effort on our part. Because Tim, I think Tim especially, he seems like a very curious person.
So what should we make content?
How would he not know these things?
Should we make content on this channel? Like, actually, let's do something right here.
Cardin, you know what Patrick T. Lowe said?
What did he say?
Someone needs to send Ian a Gen Z translation of the DNC and Book of Mormon.
I want one of those. Give me that.
Bro, have you seen it?
No. It exists.
Are you?
Oh, no, I haven't
it
seen
exists,
this.
Bruh.
I have like the modern translation of the Book of Mormon. I didn't know there's a Gen Z one.
No, bro. Okay, have you seen the Pirate Bible?
No. I am behind the times. Oh, wow.
Okay, well, okay.
I'll hop on Amazon.
This is, no, we're going to do one thing right now. What's your favorite Bible verse?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Let's say, I don't know, one I was looking up earlier. Acts 7:41.
Acts 7:41. And what does Acts 7:41 in the King James Version, which is the one I assume you're going to
I'll pull it up
to read for us right now. What does Acts 7:41 spiritually instruct the reader of Acts 7:41?
I've got it right here.
You got it right there? Read it.
Verse 41 says, and they made a calf in those days. This is talking about the children of Israel. They made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands.
That's your favorite memorized scripture?
No, it was. I didn't say it was my favorite. I said it was top of mind because I was doing something with it earlier today.
You are a libertarian. Wow.
Us libertarians are very unique.
You know, that wasn't like, let us read, brothers, the 23rd Psalm. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
It's idolatry. That's the problem.
Okay, so here's Acts 7:41 in the Pirate Bible. Now, the Pirate Bible is a book where they have trained, and I mean the publishers, have trained AI to recognize King James English and have since translated into 17th and 18th century pirate speak.
I love it.
So
ChatGPT produced this?
Well, and then they went through it. Yeah, they used AI. I think this might have even been pre-ChatGPT.
Wow.
But, you know, it's of that time period. It's recent. It came out the past couple of years. Anyway, 7:41. 'Tis a sorry sight it be when they fashioned a calf in them days, offering a sacrifice to the idol and celebrating the works of their own scurvy hands. Then God cut them loose, and they worshiped the stars in the sky just like they had the book of them prophets. Oh, you house of Israel, you've been sacrificing animals to me for 40 years in the wilderness. Hey,
that's pretty good.
You know, is that a pretty good one?
Yeah, good performance. That was great. Accent.
So, no, it's not the performance; it's the book.
No,
you
made it. It was
so. They went so far as, I don't know if it's the same guys or what, but there's a company called Broseph Smith. All right.
Gosh.
You know what I'm saying? There's a company that has made the Book of Mormon, the unofficial ChatGPT translation for Gen Z, written by one Broseph Smith. And hey, what's a more eloquacious and eloquent Book of Mormon verse that you like, my friend? What's your favorite Book of Mormon verse?
Throw that one to Luke. Let's have Luke give one.
Okay, Luke, just pick one really fast.
Ooh,
what's
Nephi, like his lamentation. I think it's 2 Nephi 5.
Second
4 or
Nephi
5.
4 is the lamentation, I think.
Okay, so 2 Nephi 4. Is this where he says like, what
verses 3? Wretched man that I am.
What wretched man that I am?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 4 verses 3, you say it is?
That's my guess off the top of my head.
Start at verse 30.
Okay, so chapter 4, verse 30. Here it goes. Be happy, heart, and talk to God, saying, God, I'll praise you forever. My soul will be happy in you, my God who saved me. God, can you save me? Can you save me from my haters? Can you help me stay away from sin? It's like, instead of a wretched man that I am, you know what I'm saying? It's preserve me from the haters.
It sounds like my brother's mission emails.
Oh, that is too funny, dude. Yeah. So anyway, I love all these Chat GPT
That's hilarious.
translations. They're pretty dang funny. So how did we get here? Again, I completely
don't know, but you want to
forgot.
get some super chats?
Yeah, why don't you dive into the super chats, babe?
Okay.
We were going somewhere with this.
We got to get to his correction.
Oh, yes, you're right. The correction. Okay, keep going, Brittany.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Chilicon Stud says, Cardin, stop forcing your wife to vote Republican.
Okay.
There's a story there.
I'm earning those $50.
There's actually not.
Oh, there's not?
I think that's what the guys on the show were saying, that a Latter-day Saint man forces his wife to vote in the way he wants.
Oh, yes, you're right. When you watch the extended version, they talk about how like, oh, well, why is it was so funny. They were questioning at length in the center of the part that we had to edit out. They were saying, why is it that so many married women vote like more conservative and more Republican? Like, is it just because conservative people get married, or is it because like it actually changes you, the act of getting married? And it's hilarious when you listen to an entire room full of single people. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, when you listen to an entire room full of single people talk about like, why is it that like, you know, these people are thinking differently than us? You kind of think, if that bro got married, there's no way he would be allowed to like look like that in a Nike shirt, you know, and long. Look, I'm sorry. I like
college
you.
professor look.
I like him, so I don't want to bag on it, but he looks like he just walked out of his mother's basement. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of those things go away when you get married. All right. My wife, sometimes she's looked at me and she said, "You're not going to wear that out in public, are you, honey?"
Yeah.
And she's.
I think I said, actually, can you match my vibe?
That's a much more euphemistic way of saying it.
Yeah.
So is it that married men dress better, or is it just that you have women asking you to match their vibe? I don't know. And I really, really love Tim Pool, but he might be coaxed into another piece of headgear other than a beanie if he got married. So is it that non-beanie lovers get married, or is it that if you get married, oftentimes there's someone you love saying, "Honey, let's try 6 days a week with the beanie and maybe 1 day a week with your natural hair," right? So they were struggling to get over this. I don't want to put these cats on blast. They are single. I think a lot of them are. I believe Tim is still single.
Moving
and the
on
others,
to super
but yeah.
chats.
See, and they just railroad you.
Yeah.
They just railroad you.
says, "Cool chat, carry on." That's my favorite super chat ever. Thank you.
Rock on.
Chilicon Stud says, "Also tonight at 1 hour and 41 minutes, Ian apologizes."
All right. We're going to check that one out.
And guess what Carolyn Wright Gaines' music did?
Or to debate
Arden?
Seamus.
Oh, whoops. I actually pressed play. What did Carolyn Wright Gaines' music do? What?
She just gifted 20 Ward Radio memberships.
What?
So you want to
All right. So we got to give a bunch of welcomes to the new members of the ward. Let's see here. Oh my goodness gracious. Carolyn Wright Gaines music. You're always so generous. We have a bunch of new members of the Ward Radio Wigwam to welcome. Justin Hancock, Ethan, Angela G, JD Jessup, Val, Matt, somebody Emergency Management Associates, Stevliv, Beetroot Pro, Bethany, Charlotte Crypto Surfer. Wow. Stanky. Nice. I'm not saying the rest of your name, bro. Diamond Dave, Michaela, Aspen, David, and Synthwave Spartan were all gifted memberships to the Ward Radio Wigwam. We have received their records into the ward. Everybody that would like to welcome Carolyn Wright Gaines Music's new Relief Society and Scout Troop, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Please put a W times 20 in the chat.
Hope
to
some of
welcome our
those
new
are
members.
piano players.
Yeah, we definitely hope they can tickle the ivories, shall we say, right?
Okay, you want me to get caught up?
Yeah, get caught up, and then we're going to listen to TimCast IRL's apology, apparently.
Okay, Debbie says, "I bought my first super chat asking them to bring Connor on.
Oh.
LOL, sigh. They didn't read it.
Ugh.
Tim did seem bothered towards the end of the super chats."
Okay.
And then Mary Lou Howarth gifted 10 Ward Radio memberships.
Wow.
Whoa, Mary Lou. All right, Mary Lou. Mary Lou has gifted 10 memberships. We got Yusuf. Luke. Hey, Luke, you don't have a membership?
Yeah.
Cheapskate. No, I'm just kidding.
I pay in clips.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Scooter, D-Bolt. Let me see. Fam Forever, Jennifer, Casey, Eric, and Impractical Tactile. Oh, and Caleb. All are welcome to the Ward Radio Wigwam. We've received their records. Please put a W times 10 in the chat to welcome these new members of the Ward Radio Wigwam. Make sure you guys also like the stream if you haven't had a chance yet to like the stream, because we're having a lot of fun here, catching up. If you just tuned in, just so you know, we are analyzing, shall we say, refuting, debunking, kindly correcting some of the, the things that were said about us on TimCast IRL the other day. And by us, I mean members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints,
Mormons.
a.k.a. Mormons.
Mormonists.
Principal among us.
Mormonites.
Yes.
Mormonites. Principal among us, prepper of preppers, Connor Boyack, also author of The Tuttle Twins, and friends with those guys at Angel Studios.
Ooh.
You know?
The guys who were on TimCast, but apparently were not asked about their Mormonite isms.
Yeah. And then, bro, we're going to have to talk a little bit about your book, Mind Wars and True Conspiracies, in the outro of this live stream, because that's pretty awesome. But before we do, I just got this timestamp. So how long do I play this for, Luke? This is an apology?
Somebody put the timestamp in, and I played it to make sure that was the start of when they were talking about this.
Okay, cool. So here it is.
So we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. All right, so here we go. Apparently, this is an apology.
Since they both believe they're the only true church.
Oh, speaking of Mormonism, I talked about Mormonism last night and I was incorrect. I was saying that there was some passage in like the texts, which were the text that I was referencing was called the Doctrine and Covenants from 1835, which I actually bought a copy of last night. I'm looking forward to reading this. But I was the guy that told me said it was Mormonism, that it's stuff I was quoting, but
was
it was
Islam?
The Talmud. No, it's like Old Testament, Judaism,
Deuteronomy.
He's just digging a worse hole because we actually do use the Old Testament as well. But it's good that he's learning. It's a step forward. Let's keep going.
Somebody send the missionaries over.
Well, the quote that I was reading about having to pay, if you rape a woman, a virgin, you've got to pay her father $50 and marry her. That's from the Talmud. That's not Mormonism.
I don't think they had dollars.
Let's grab.
Wait, so did he just dig a worse hole with just a different religious
I've never
group?
heard of that. Has anyone here heard of that?
No.
I don't think paper money was around back then.
There's
no history buff, but
there's something similar, but it's in a,
I mean, there's a
hugely
dowry.
different context.
There's a dowry,
Yeah.
concept there, but not like anything about rape or any. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
There's stuff about virgins. There's stuff about, I don't know.
Yeah, and and by the way, Ian, I kind of agree with Connor. I think reading the DNC is fine, but probably the best thing to do is just befriend a good Latter-day Saint.
Just make a friend, bro.
Talking with Megan last night, you really get how important it is to just have a friend who you can talk just a little bit here and there and learn a little bits here and there. It took Megan 8 years, but she's now a member of the church.
We're talking about last night's live stream. Yes. Okay. So anyway, let's keep going. See what he has to say. See if it gets a little bit better, and then we'll talk about some true conspiracies. Connor Boyack's book, right? So let's see what he's got to say.
I have some more. Siri Design says, you see the documents that how do you pronounce this?
50 shekels,
Polive
50 shekels.
Revealed in Kennedy yesterday. Trudeau actively covered up. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, okay. So that's just the regular live stream.
However, we do have. I believe this was Fidget, if I'm not mistaken.
Love
sent
Fidget.
this
Love
into the
Fidget.
Discord. These are some of the super chats that were sent to TimCast.
Oh, because I did hear
yesterday.
that while this was going down, like I've done this before when I've been in a live stream and people have started saying stuff about Mormons. I'm like, dude, this is garbage. You're literally recycling anti-Mormon tropes. Like literally, this is like listening to a non-Jew say anti-Semitic slurs that were in Mein Kampf. Like you should stop doing this, and it actually works. So did we get some representation in the chat as I'm looking this up, Luke? Were we positively represented, bro?
It's in the Discord. So,
okay, I'm opening this all up right now. Here's the first one, and it says, it looks like Kiabo Bandit says, not an active member of the LDS Church, but I still have high respect for the church. Really would be nice if you guys would learn at least a basic amount about them before spewing the anti-LDS garbage from the internet. Oh, savage. What's your next favorite one, bro? The second one that you put up?
I just put all the ones that Fidget put.
Oh, okay. So
in the main,
shout out to Fidget the Crazy, who is like the moderator of all moderators, man. This girl helps us out a ton. Thank you very much, Fidget. Says Desert Rebel gave a $10 super chat. That's a motivated super chatter. Says Mormon here. None of what you said
Deseret.
is... Oh, Deseret. Sorry. Oh,
and well. Tim Pool said it wrong too.
Oh, that's
when he
funny.
read it.
Yeah, you're so used to reading Desert that when you saw Deseret Rebel, you're like, oh, man. What kind of member of the church am I? I should be ashamed of myself. Okay, Deseret Rebel says, Mormon, end quote here. None of what you said is accurate on attitudes towards women. No clue where you're getting that from, but you need to do some better research by actually asking other Mormons instead of haters. That's funny. Third one.
By the way, Deseret Rebel is one of your viewers, Carden.
Oh my goodness gracious!
They're on the chat right now.
What a dereliction of duty and way to represent Deseret Rebel. You're right. Actually, I remember that now that you mention it. Random Eskimo saying, as a Latter-day Saint, please make sure Ian is only allowed to talk about graphene or how stupid he is, because apparently he's pretty much unable to talk knowledgeably about anything else. Oof, that one was savage.
That one had some spice.
Yeah, that one was pretty rough. And then finally, we got the last one here. Thank you again, Fidget with a cute cat said Ian is a little ignorant, okay, about a religion to be so harsh about them, even foregoing the time there was a kill bounty for Mormons in Mississippi. So in the beginning, and like roster Mormon men were killed while their wives ran. Okay, so obviously there was some talk to text going on there. But Connor, Luke, are you aware of? I know there was the Missouri extermination order against members of the church. Was there a Mississippi one, or do you think maybe that's just some talk to text error there?
Yeah, I think that's an error.
Okay, cool. Because
I think so.
Yeah, I know that when the KKK came to Salt Lake City, they were welcomed by the Salt Lake Tribune. You know what I'm saying? And the church is like, nah, smacks of a secret combination. We're not going to endorse these guys. And let me tell you, the Salt Lake Tribune, which always likes to talk about how it speaks truth to religious power. Boy, that article didn't age well, did it? That op-ed didn't age well. You know, of course, that's buried. You probably can't find that on the internet. So anyway, let me say, of course, I want to get a copy of that and find that. And, whoever said that in that op-ed, I want to get that framed, you know? So anyway,
Cardin,
yes.
geography guy says, I would pay money for Cardin to do an audible narration of the Pirate Bible.
Nice.
Would you really?
That's a long.
Don't tempt him.
That's a long narration.
Me. Yeah. Okay.
Well, what you need to do is create your pirate voice in AI, and then have that AI voice read AI generated text.
Okay. So
like it.
anyway, keep going.
And Rex Good says that you're your own kind of handsome.
I am my
nice?
own kind of handsome. All right. Awesome.
I love Rex Good.
Me
All
too.
right. So we can skip this one. Do you got another super chat after that?
Kimberly Watson Smith.
No, we can skip that one.
Oh, she just sent money.
Oh, good. Awesome. Thank you very much,
Brian
Kimberly.
Bacon says, why is it $175 to watch your shows on Angel Studios?
Why is it what?
$175
What's that?
to watch
I
your
don't
shows
know.
on Angel Studios?
Oh,
AS?
the Tuttle Twins probably.
Well, it's free though.
Yeah.
They have the Angel Guild that you can donate to, and then you get some perks and stuff. But it's totally free.
And can I just say, my grandkids, they devour the Tuttle Twin series.
Awesome.
Devour it.
That's
we
great.
have it too before I even knew you.
Oh yeah.
Cardin's mom actually bought it for us.
Oh, that's funny.
And sent it
Yeah,
to
my
us.
mom's a hardcore public educator, bro.
Yeah.
She's like convinced education's going to save the world. You know what I'm saying?
It is going to save the world. I'm just not convinced that a lot of it happens inside public schools.
Oh, savage, man. Savage here.
You can tell her I said that if you want.
Okay. That's brutal.
Polite dinner conversation with mom.
Not bad for a traitor to the restoration, bro.
Yeah,
You got a savage super chat here. You know?
Kimberly and I have a long history.
Oh, do you really?
We'll talk another day.
Oh, that'll be super fun.
I'm
you
sure
know
it
what I'm
will.
saying? So, I do have a question for you while we're talking all this fun stuff. Missouri extermination order, apparently the Mississippi one that we all missed out on.
Quote unquote.
It reminded me of a book. Oh,
good segue.
Good segue, bro. So, dog, what is this? Actually, I'll tell you right now. Connor has written like 17 books, okay? And
times 3.
Almost. Yes. He's written a lot of books, all right? But this one I instantly gravitated towards, and I said, we got to talk about this on the live stream, towards the end of the live stream.
You and everybody else. That's become a super popular one for
Yeah,
us.
because this is the coolest freaking cover ever. I don't care where you're at, but True Conspiracies, the Tuttle Twins Guide to True Conspiracies. So I have yet to read it, but I would like to do just a live reaction. Before I do, can you just tell us what this book is about, what it is, and why everybody in the Ward Radio Wigwam has to familiarize their kids with it? Because I got to tell you, conspiracy theorists, we used to look down on them until all the conspiracies started becoming true, bro. And you know what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and hard news? 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 months, but I guess that was generous.
Yeah, for real. So Doc, like, what's it like?
Let me start here.
Yeah.
Do you know where the term conspiracy theorist was popularized? Anybody know?
No.
It was after the assassination of JFK. In their after action report, the CIA issued a report and said, look, a bunch of people are going to claim that the government was involved, and so we need to brand these people as conspiracy theorists. And so the term had existed in various books and magazines here and there very occasionally prior in the United States, but it was the CIA and the FBI and their reports that were saying, hey, this is what we need to call these people. For us, as I still use the term Mormons, so sue me, we believe in the Book of Mormon, and I think we I think we're still under condemnation, right? It talks in D&C 84, I think, that we're under condemnation for treating lightly the things that we've received, namely the everlasting covenant, even the Book of Mormon.
Are you like those pneumo guys that think we lost the priesthood in Nauvoo and that,
No.
Oh, bummer, because those guys are fun.
I'm sure they are. I'd love to talk to them. So we're still under condemnation that hasn't been lifted, and it's because we're treating lightly the Book of Mormon. How are we doing that? Well, we all read the Book of Mormon. It testifies of Christ. It tells of Christ. It's another testament. 3rd Nephi 11, Jesus visiting the Americas. All of that is like supremely important. 100% it is the primary purpose of the Book of Mormon. But I contend that there is a secondary purpose of the Book of Mormon that we are collectively largely ignoring, and that is it serves as a warning manual. Right so if 3rd Nephi 11 is the pinnacle of the primary purpose of the Book of Mormon, here's Jesus coming, other sheep I have which are not of this fold. It's this huge deal. Mm-hmm. The secondary purpose of the Book of Mormon, its pinnacle is Ether 8. What's happening in Ether 8? This is Moroni writing, talking about the downfall of the Jaredite and the Nephite civilizations, talking about the Gadiantans, talking about the secret combinations, that the righteous were seduced to partake in their spoils, that they were hollowed out from within. And he literally says, God commands you to awaken to your awful situation when you see these things come upon you. He's talking to us specifically. Literally, this is a commandment from God to awaken to our awful situation. Not if we see these things in our day. He says when we see these things in our day. And so the context for your question, Cardin, with that book, not that book isn't for a religious audience, that's just, mass market, whatever. But for us as Mormons, we have this like divine obligation to pay attention to what some call conspiracy theories, to understand how these secret combinations are operating in our day. That is why I think stories like this are so important. Can we go far afield and the frogs turning gay and all the Alex Jones stuff? Like, yeah, it can get
which
pretty,
ended up being true.
It can get pretty
which
weird.
ended up being true, and they're seeding the clouds. And
it can get really weird really fast. But the point of this book, Cardin, that you were holding, the Tuttle Twins Guide to True Conspiracies,
Potbelly Goblins.
Our effort here was to identify 20 examples of factual, documented conspiracies. Indisputable, there's memos, there's declassified stuff, because we want to reclaim from the term conspiracy theorist the fact that there are truly a number of horrifying conspiracies that those in power have been involved with. Why do we care? Well, if we can show teens, this is a book for teens, if we can show teenagers and their parents that this stuff happened in the past, look at how the government lied again and again and again to people, maybe they can develop a little bit of skepticism and critical thinking as it pertains to the government in our day. So it's really an effort to try and get them to develop a bit of skepticism, realizing that if we were lied to again and again in the past, we're probably being lied to today as well.
You know what? I totally dig that. And recite that scripture again where it says, the members, they were wooed into the spoils of the secret combinations.
They were seduced to partake of the spoils. The righteous were seduced.
Because that's one of the principal complaints that I have had of not a specific generation, but the handbook worshipers born between 1946 and 64. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sensing a recurring theme.
You know what I'm saying? That have sacrificed providership for, physical providership for spiritual protectorship, and have sat on the shoulders of giants. And instead of building another story in the castle and the fortifications of our people, they just kind of sat there collecting dividends, and participating in the culture instead of informing it and being the salt that gives the plate its savor. And I think one of the principal problems that we have right now is trying to undo the damage of a dereliction of duty of the past 50 years, So I think that's really, really interesting that you kind of bring that to the forefront in your book. So what's the best conspiracy that ended up totally being true, bro?
Oh man, I could pick a bunch. I'm going to pick a favorite that doesn't quite answer your question, but I'm libertarian, so I don't do what I'm told anyway. So
yeah, rock on, yeah, dude.
I'm going to share whatever I want to share. Okay, so this is the setting here is the Cold War. You got JFK, the Soviets are in Cuba, they're setting up missiles and everything, right? Everyone's kind of concerned. Well, if you look at polling back then, the American electorate did not want to go to war in Cuba. They didn't want to invade. They didn't want to trigger World War III, a very sensible position to have. But there was a group of individuals in America who did want to invade Cuba. There was this like group of I'll call them rabble rousers, this group of activists that did want America's military to invade. So they came up with an idea, and they said, well, what if we could kill a bunch of Americans, we'll bomb Miami, we'll shoot down a plane, we'll shoot at rafts of exiles leaving Cuba in search of freedom. We'll do all of this, but we'll make it seem as if Cuban nationals are the ones doing the killing.
A false flag.
Which is what's called a false flag, stemming from pirate days when a pirate ship would hoist the flag of the British to
That's
get
where the
close
term
to...
false flag comes
Yes.
from? I can't believe I overlooked that.
Yeah.
You knew it, you just forgot it.
Yeah, I knew that all the time.
So this is a false flag. So this group of kind of fringe rabble-rousing activists, they literally documented this plan. They put it on paper. They said, we'll kill these people. We'll make it look like Cubans did it. It's going to anger the Americans, us, American voters, who will then support going to war in Cuba, and we'll get what we want.
And these were Americans?
This was a group of Americans
that wanted to
kill
other
Americans and make it look like Cubans did it so that the American military would then invade Cuba and go fight the Soviets. This group of fringe rabble-rouser activists got an audience with the President of the United States, JFK, to pitch their plan. JFK reviewed the plan, and he shot it down, which is why we didn't hear about it. It didn't happen. Who is this fringe rabble-rousing group of activists? It was the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States military and the Department of Defense.
What? Come on. Yeah, it's a conspiracy.
It was a conspiracy.
And a theory.
It's a fact.
It's a conspiracy theory.
You can go to Wikipedia, pull up Operation Northwoods.
Shut up. That's a real thing?
That's
You're not BSing me?
No, of course not. It's one of the...
Is there a source better than Wikipedia?
You can find it elsewhere. But they've got the scanned, declassified memo, which you can find...
The Joint Chiefs of Staff wanted to murder Americans in order to lure JFK into an extrajudicial war.
They wanted to...
Dude, crap, there is a Wikipedia article.
They wanted to anger Americans so that they could take the military and go to war, but they knew that they had to deceive Americans to do it because at the time, voters didn't want to trigger World War III.
These freaking people, why? I thought I couldn't trust them less. I couldn't trust them less, but of course, Wikipedia, as Tucker Carlson said, is the most CIA-controlled website on the planet. So who knows? I don't know if I can even trust what I'm reading. Connor Boyack, no wonder you're the ward prepper specialist. You know what I'm saying? But here we go right here. It says, Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation that originated with the U.S. Department of Defense of the United States government in 1962. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism. What? Against military and civilian targets, blame them on the Cuban government, and will be used to justify a war against Cuba. What? Oh my gosh.
Crazy stuff, right?
And I think it was related to the casinos as well.
Well,
if I remember.
Let me pose a question to you this way. Imagine that JFK had said yes, right? Let's go ahead and do that plan. Now imagine the next 40 years, Cardin, your sweet mother, teaching in what grade does she teach?
She used to teach, actually all of them. She started in 6th, then ended up in kindergarten.
Okay, so Cardin's mom and thousands of other teachers all across America.
5th grade is national history. Say it's 5th grade.
Okay, so they're teaching U.S. history to all these kids. And what's going to be in the history book? What's going to be in the history book pertaining to this event is that those horrible Cuban nationalists one day killed a bunch of poor Americans, and so we went to go fight them in response and seek justice and... Then World War III started. And so generations of Americans would have been told, because this was classified, and if they had really done it, they would have just buried it and kept it secret. The generations of Americans would have been taught that Americans were this victim, that these horrible Cubans had killed us, not realizing that what was really happening was literally a secret combination and a conspiracy of the U.S. government trying to do this and deceive the public.
So how many of these didn't get caught?
Very few. Most of the ones in the book are they went ahead and happened.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Isn't that crazy though?
And I got to tell you, if I feel sorry for the person doing their genealogy when they recognize this cat. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing that brother was like, oh yeah, dude, I'll sign off on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm so desperate to go fight Cuba. I'll kill my countrymen. And make it look like they did it. Ed.
And he wears his participation trophies on his jacket.
Oh, savage. Oh, we better not be besmirching a guy. But watch, he was like also like the one vote against it or something, and he's actually like a totally honorable man, and we're besmirching him.
But the danger here is a lot of people think that, there was some stuff decades ago. But like Hunter Biden's laptop is the perfect example. CIA spooks, 50 of them, signed a letter saying that they knew that it was Russian disinformation when they all actually literally knew that it was Hunter Biden's laptop, but they conspired together to deceive the broader public into believing something that was false.
So are you with Kwaku that you think that like modern America is the modern Babylon seen in Revelation and so on and so forth, that maybe our positive origins have been corrupted and then now we're the apostate Babylon spoken of in the book of Revelation?
I think you can make a very strong argument for that, actually.
Really?
Unto whom much is given, much is required, right? Here is like we talk about the great and abominable church, and we like to point fingers elsewhere and say it's the heathens, it's the apostates. But I think a lot of card-carrying Mormons are actually members of the great and abominable church. We know that the tares are growing amongst the wheat, but we don't do a very good job at being able to identify within the church who is a tare among us. And so, I think a lot of us might qualify for that.
So what do we need? We need more excommunications? Like, what are you saying here?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that really solves much. I think we just need more alertness and intentionality. Right. We need less superficiality. We need gospel doctrine classes that do more meat than milk. We need to be less idolatrous and get rid of all the Babylonian cultural crap and baggage and iniquity and traditions of our fathers and everything that is encumbering the members of the church right now.
Okay, well, look, we've got 14 minutes, actually 12 minutes here, hard out.
I do have,
yes,
if possible, like 2 questions.
Yes,
for Connor.
hit it.
Number 1, the most recent one first. When you say that there is a good case for America, and then you say much is given, much is required, is this objectively compared to other nations, America's worse, or compared to their advantage status, let's say, or advantage blessings that they've been given? They're doing not a good job. Does that question make sense? Is it relative to other people or relative to where it should be that you're making that comparison?
I think the answer is yes, because I think I think you can say yes to both. It's and to me, it's less about America than it is about Americans and members of the church and the restoration of the gospel, and that here was a country that promised religious freedom to its citizens and did so poorly at protecting and providing it that the restored gospel of Jesus Christ had to flee into the wilderness, and they basically seceded from the United States of America and said, we're out of here and we're going to go start our own country. They went to Mexico. And so I think it was like this aspirational, lofty ideal. Take, for example, I'll go to U.S. history, the Alien and Sedition Acts. I don't know if you guys remember your U.S. history here, but the French Revolution was happening. John Adams is president. The Federalists hated the French. They didn't want the revolution to spill over. And so they passed the Sedition Act. And the Sedition Act said that if you criticize the president or if you criticize Congress, you go to jail. And they jailed a whole bunch of people. Benjamin Franklin's grandson was the editor of a newspaper who criticized John Adams and consequently, under the Sedition Act, was thrown in jail. Here's the very same people that wrote and ratified the First Amendment to the Constitution that says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. And here they were violating freedom of speech. So to me, it's when I say unto whom much is given, much is required, etc., it's that we members of the church, we Americans, however you want to describe it, have been given a lot, and we've, like it says in Section 84, we're under condemnation. We've treated lightly the things that we've received. How many times in the church do we talk about that there's a sealed portion of the Book of Mormon? Like, no one even talks about that at all, right? But like
Don Bradley does.
We're never going to qualify for it if we don't take more seriously what we've already been given. And I think we're, as a church, doing... sorry, I'm rambling, Luke. Go to your second question.
No, you're not. Keep going, bro. This is great.
No. Second question.
That was my second question, actually.
Oh.
Because you said we're under condemnation for the Book of Mormon, and it has all this important stuff, and it reminded me of the conversation that Greg just had with Dave Butler. And Dave Butler said the same thing. We're under condemnation. We don't have the rest. And then he said, but the Book of Mormon is a deeply political book, but we're not going to get into that right now. And he went somewhere else. And it sounds like you started to go that exact same arc of thinking.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you've communicated with him about this, or you guys are arriving to this Okay.
No, yeah. So Cardin,
you haven't spoken to him.
No, not about this. You're talking about Quick Media, Greg, or somebody else?
No, Dave. He had on Dave Butler.
Oh, Dave Butler. Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah.
No, I don't know who Dave is. Okay. Cardin, do you have the book?
Well, he said the exact same thing you said. We're missing something, and it has something to do with the Book of Mormon being a deeply political book.
Okay. Do you have,
he left it there.
Cardin, the book that I brought in, the Latter-day Liberty? It was in the stack that I gave you. So this was...
fat stacks.
This was my first book that I wrote.
Mediocrity, 40 Ways Government Schools Are Failing Today's Students.
Different
that
one.
Nope,
different
one. Okay, hold on.
We're going to be here a while.
It's going to take 20 minutes.
I brought him a fat stack.
No. Wait, we got some here. Search for Atlas, Tuttle Twins.
No.
You did a Tuttle Twins on the creature from Jekyll Island?
Nice.
Dude, rock on!
That's one of our more popular ones.
America's History, Connor Boyack and Elijah Stanfield. Hold on. My fat stack is slipping. Mind Wars, we talked about that one already. Latter-day Liberty.
There you go.
This one?
So this is the first book that I wrote, Latter-day Liberty, A Gospel Approach to Government and Politics. And so this was an attempt to describe all the different scriptures and doctrine of our church and what it says about what are the theological implications, or sorry, I said that backwards. What are the political implications of our theology? Because I do think that the gospel of Christ is political. And why do I say that? Because the gospel of Christ is not a Sunday thing. It's not, I have my church bucket and then Monday through Saturday I can think and do and whatever I want. It's that the gospel is supposed to permeate everything. And what is politics? It's just human relations with your neighbors, and you have this intermediary, the state, trying to facilitate relationships and keep the peace. But it's just how we treat other people. It's how we interact. It's how we hold people responsible and accountable. And so I think the gospel of Christ has a lot to say about that. Now, we shy away from that in the church. A lot of people are very fearful because politics is contentious, and we don't want to, and the church has this awkward neutrality of like, principles compatible with the gospel may be found in different, political platforms. And it's just this very like permissive thing. Of course, the history of the church, which I talk about in this book, is extremely political to the point where, they disbanded the political party in Utah and they basically apportioned 50% of the membership to go to the Republicans and 50% to the Democrats after achieving statehood because they didn't want to have this huge Mormon voting bloc. And so anyways, there's a lot of political stuff in the history of the church, and the pendulum, I think, has swung so far in the other direction where when people like me in gospel doctrine start talking about this kind of stuff and trying to make connections between our faith, especially even things like secret combinations like we were talking about. Like, okay, here, I got to say this, Luke, sorry. And then
hey, you're speaking my language.
If you got any follow-up.
We're loving. We'll keep going, bro. Keep going.
I have been gospel doctrine teacher. I've lost track of how many times. And before Come Follow Me, they had all the gospel doctrine manuals and so forth. And I mentioned Ether 8, right? The pinnacle of this secondary purpose of the Book of Mormon. When you look at all the church manuals for gospel doctrine, Come Follow Me, etc., and when you go to the section on Ether for that lesson that you're supposed to teach for like Ether 4 through 10 or however many chapters that they do, when you get to the section on Ether 8, in some of the manuals, it's completely absent. There's no, like in the suggested questions and the discussions and the things to talk about. I think, I haven't looked in a while, but I think the Come Follow Me manual has like this afterthought at the bottom where it's like, if you have more time, consider, looking over these verses. And it's just this very passing, superficial thing where the church institutionally is just like, this is icky. We don't want to, delve into this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like Moroni is screaming at us.
What's
about
icky? I'm in chapter 8 right now. It's on my screen. What's icky about Ether chapter 8, bro?
It's just the whole premise of secret combinations. When he gets to the bottom, I don't remember what verse it is. It's towards the end.
It basically has to be political.
It's
when
100%
you get into secret
political.
combinations.
They're killing judges. They're assassinating people. They're corrupt. They're using the law to oppress the righteous.
When the Lord commanded you, when you shall see these things come among you, that you shall wake to a sense of your awful situation because of this secret combination which shall be among you. O woe be unto it because of the blood of them who have been slain. For they cry from the dust for vengeance upon it.
That's it.
And also upon those who built it up. Yeah, baby. That's a battle cry against the Democrats. Against the what was the right answer?
Republicans.
The Republicans.
Helaman 6. Here's the other one we were talking about earlier. This is verses 37 and 38. It came to pass that the Lamanites did hunt the band of robbers of Gadianton, and they did preach the word of God among the more wicked part of them, insomuch that this band of robbers was utterly destroyed from among the Lamanites. So the power of the word of God. But then verse 38. It came to pass on the other hand, the Nephites did build them up, and support them, beginning at the more wicked part of them, until they had overspread all the land of the Nephites, and had seduced the more part of the righteous, until they had come down to believe in their works, and partake of their spoils, and to join with them in their secret murders and combinations. So if the Book of Mormon, as President Hinckley said, is more inspired and inspiring than the morning newspaper, not that we even read those anymore, but in his day it made sense.
Yeah.
If we know that the book is written for our day, why does our church give and I mean this institutionally, but also collectively as church members, people just give a shrug when it comes to this stuff. And you get the Mitt Romneys of the world who have no theological underpinning for anything they do. You get all these Mormons who will go out and vote and run for office and have all their political opinions, but none of it is informed by their faith. And so the effort that I undertook in Latter-day Liberty, and then I also have a more recent book called Christ versus Caesar, is to try and understand, if we were to take Christ at his word, how would that inform our political views and actions? And to me, the answer is profound.
Right.
The laws
they
that
would
we
vote
would support,
libertarian.
The laws that we would support, the things that we would do, right? Like, we would totally have to reframe everything, because we would realize that, the golden rule, by the way, like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that doesn't have an asterisk that says, but if a majority of you, 51%, want to, raise the taxes of all your neighbors because you want to park, that's okay. You can oppress other people through the ballot. No, it doesn't say any of that. Do unto other people, even through the ballot box, even through the political process, what you would want done unto you. But we don't think that way, and I think it's to our collective detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is awesome. Guys, unfortunately, we only got 3 minutes and 25 seconds left. You got any last questions, please send it to us in the Super Chat. Brittany, catch us up on the Super Chats.
Okay, Stephen Diamond says, remember the Temple Rock? We got a book group on the Discord, but we need more people on it. Also, we need a Temple Rock emoji for the channel, and I'm pretty sure Fidget already has that based off the chat.
Does Fidget got a Temple Rock?
I think
a Temple
so.
Rock emoji?
I think I saw that.
Fidget, you go, girl.
Rex Good says, hashtag wild in the streets, boomers beware.
Boom shakalaka.
That's right.
All
We're trouble.
Okay.
Paulson J. Healy says, just a UPS driver here. Don't say just. Connor, thanks for your books. They are part of the list of books I financially incentivized my kids to read regularly.
Nice. Awesome.
Ward Radio Crew, thanks for your show and for putting audio on Spotify to listen while I drive.
That's true. We're actually doing a little bit better job about uploading. It takes a couple of days later to get up on Spotify, but we are cultivating on basically all the podcast platforms that we can, but predominantly Spotify, also an audio and a 720p version of the show. Obviously, YouTube is the best place to watch us. It's where we have all of our content the fastest. If you guys want to join the Ward Radio Wigwam, you can actually join the channel. That's what little join button means, and you'll actually get early access to videos. Not just late, but early access to videos. And Paulson J. Healy, you know what? Don't say just a UPS driver here.
We salute you.
You're a modern Santa Claus. You and the Amazon guy are the people that we love when you show up. You know what I'm saying? We just totally love when you show up because, we already know it's paid for. And so anyway, lightrevolutions.com. Welcome. We have received the records of lightrevolutions.com. Everybody would like to welcome lightrevolutions.com. Please put a W in the chat. And Brittany, do we have any other super chats to catch up on?
Steven Diamond says, Temple Rock emoji just dropped in the Discord. Like I said, that's so cool.
All right.
Carolyn Wright Gaines Music says, great and spacious building. Many live in the great and spacious building, even people in the church. It is hard to admit.
That's well said.
And last question, bro. We were going to talk about some things today, but we didn't get to over all of them. This will be like the outro. I thought this was really interesting. You said you think that we're more idolatrous than the children of Israel and that we're still under condemnation. You already explained why we're still under condemnation. What's the number one false idol of the church right now, in your view? That's our outro, bro. These are our closing thoughts, man.
Well, if you are to believe President Kimball, Spencer Kimball,
I am to believe him.
Okay, if one is to believe him.
Communism, thanks. He said it. We're ready to go. No, I'm just kidding.
So he says, let me pull it up right here. You caught me off guard. Let's see.
We're good at that,
I
man.
wrote down this quote so we could share it. Here we go. So He wrote in 1976 an address called The False Gods We Worship. He says that in spite of our delight in defining ourselves as modern and our tendency to think we possess a sophistication that no people in the past has ever had, in spite of these things, we are, on the whole, an idolatrous people, a condition most repugnant to the Lord. We are a warlike people, easily distracted from our assignment of preparing for the coming of the Lord. When enemies rise up, we commit vast resources to the fabrication of gods of stone and steel, ships, planes, missiles, fortifications, and we depend on them for protection and deliverance. When threatened, we become anti-enemy, and instead of pro-kingdom of God, we train a man in the art of war and call him a patriot, thus in the manner of Satan's counterfeit of true patriotism, perverting the Savior's teaching, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you. So
you are literally just a white Kwaku that doesn't quite think they're lizard people, but quotes from the exact same books. And I think, you could try the mustache thing like him. That may be kind of like cool instead of the full-blown
Stick him
beard,
with a beard.
you know?
No, I'm not doing
But,
it.
dude, I'm telling you, man, he says, like, the exact same things, bro.
Well, he's not wrong then. And I think we don't have time for it, but when you look in the scriptures at what the idols were and what purpose they served, it was for protection, it was for prosperity, and it was for direction. That is why they worshipped idols. We can dig into it some other time. So the point is that what are our idols today where we seek protection from? We can talk about prosperity and direction, but I think the military, the gods of stone and steel, I think Kimball was exactly right half a century ago. And there's a lot to unpack there.
My gods of stone and steel are heavy metal and rock and roll, baby. You know what I'm saying?
AC/DC.
Which we got to bring back. Not a bad reference.
Jack Black's School of Rock. There
That's
we go.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Hey, Carden, do we have 20 seconds to?
We got 20 seconds. And then I'm shutting her down. Yeah, what?
Right above the thumbnail you made is a picture of Fidget. She got her widow's mite.
Oh, we got another widow's mite picture, and we can post it. Do we have permission to post it?
Yeah, I asked her. She said it was fine.
All right.
And
awesome.
and there's a self-portrait of her below the picture of her with the widow's mite.
Well,
and
we're gonna have to bring it. Okay, good. That explains the picture then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so here we got the widow's mite from one. I got to pull up the picture. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I get it. She's making that face of that anime character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is Fidget exactly.
So
She's
here
confident,
we got
sassy,
Fidget the crazy,
and making war on Antichrist with
and
her art.
Boom. Yeah, she's the one that does a lot of the cool artwork. And dude, don't misbehave in the mod, man. Don't misbehave in the chat. Speaking of which, before we shut her down here, guys, if you haven't joined our Discord, join the Discord. Why? Because we got Fidget there. All right. Along with a lot of really cool volunteers. Who else is volunteering? I know I see Alicia Brown in there. For a while, we had Danny Gray. There's 5 or 6 mods that volunteer.
Ethan, Alicia Brown, Danny Gray. He was in an accident, so let's pray for Danny Gray, by the way.
Yeah. Jonah Barnes is in there. You know what I'm saying? We got J562 or whatever that is. There's a lot of people that are helping out.
I think some guy named Fitz or Itz.
There's a bunch of really cool. Anyway, it's a fun, safe a place to just, shoot the breeze, talk with other like-minded people, and it's super fun. There is a link to the Discord on the social media bar of wardradio.com. So if you guys go to wardradio.com and you click on the socials, the last social right there that looks like a little PlayStation paddle, that is Discord. You can hang out with us there. It's really fun. Sometimes I do A and B thumbnail testing there. Sometimes I get on the voice chat. Sometimes I just hang out with people and they show their new artwork. They've got a prayer roll. We've got deep dive conspiracy theory stuff. There's a Heartlanders help group, and then a Mesomaniacs support
coping
group,
mechanism
cope group or whatever, and everything from deep doctrinal dives to just church news. It is super fun and super cool, and I think we're sporting like 1,500 subs now or something like that, right? Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and you're there. So anyway, like we say, guys, this has been awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Carolyn Wright Games Music, thanks for all of the super chats and the gifted memberships. J.H. Paulson, thank you so much. Thanks to everybody else that I can't see on the list who already previously gave super chats. And as always, it's been real and it's been fun, and it's been real fun for this and more. Please check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is amazing. You're gonna feel my sonic boom. I'm flying higher and I'm never coming Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me. We brought the funk into this function. Yeah. We show up dressing to the nines. Okay. Never need an introduction. No matter what, we're feeling fine. I'm flying high and I'm never coming down. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. I can't stop.